Welcome back to the Wilson Anchor News. This is your anchorman, Teddy Andrews. Today we're here with New York State Senator Robert Ortt. Hello, Mr. Ortt.
Hi, Mr. Andrews. How are you?
Great. In the New York State Senate, you represent the 22nd District. Can you tell our audience what general areas that includes?
I can. So I actually represent the 62nd District, and that includes Niagara, all of Niagara County, all of Orleans County, and then I have the western portion of Monroe County. So I stop just short of like the city of Rochester, but I have all of Niagara County, Niagara Falls. I have a lot of farm and rural communities like Bransonville, Cambria, Wilson, as you move east into Orleans. And then in Monroe, it starts to get a little bit more suburban. Spencerport, I have the Brockport College. So it's a pretty big district.
You are a minority leader for the state Senate. What does that mean?
So there's the majority and the minority. And in the New York State Senate, the majority conference is the Democratic conference. They have more members, so they are the majority conference. And the minority conference, in our case, is the Republican conference. And each conference elects a leader to lead their conference, to speak for their conference on major issues of policy, laws, or what have you, and then ultimately as well to try and grow those conferences. So the majority leader, my counterpart, is a senator from downstate, Andrea Stewart-Cousins. Her job is to lead the Democratic conference and grow them and speak for them on matters of policy. And my job is to speak for the Republican members of our conference from all over the state, New York City, all the way to Long Island, all the way up here in Western New York. I get to also, I think, it gives me a bigger platform to also speak for issues that matter to Niagara County, to Orleans County, to Monroe County, and to my constituents, because being the minority leader just gives you sort of a larger pulpit, if you would, or a larger platform to speak on issues that are important to my constituents and a lot of New Yorkers across the state.
What are some priorities of representing the people of New York State?
So my priorities really have been grounded in the district priorities. Even as minority leader, those are still my priorities, which means, for me, veterans. As a veteran myself, that was a big issue when I got elected to the state Senate, and remains a big issue, making sure that veterans have the resources they need, whether it's mental health resources, whether it's job-related or economic resources, or just helping them navigate benefits and getting benefits they fought for and deserve. So veterans issues are a big issue for me. Agriculture issues, representing a district that is largely rural, not totally, but largely. The needs and issues and concerns of our farmers and those in the agritourism area are big issues for me. And then I would also say issues around, certainly economic issues, keeping young people like yourself. When you graduate from school, I'd like to see you stay here and have the opportunity, be it a job or economic opportunity, to be here, raise a family, and live your life here, if that's what you want. What I don't want to see is us driving more talented people like yourself to other states, right? And I don't want to see you on the Miami news one day. I want to see you on the Buffalo news or wherever you want to be. So we got to make sure we're creating great opportunities. Your school district and your teachers here are doing that. They're giving you the tools to succeed. We as a government have to make sure that we have opportunities for people like yourself to use those skill sets so you can stay here and raise a family. And I think that's sort of where my focus is. And then lastly, just I think mental health. Mental health is a big issue for young people, for older folks, for veterans, for anyone. And I was chair of the mental health committee before when I first got elected, and that has remained a really important issue to me.
Senator, unfortunately the capital is not in Wilson, but in Albany, which means you have to travel there a lot. How does this adjustment been for you personally?
Well, I can tell you, if the capital was in Wilson, my life would be a lot easier, and my wife would be a lot happier. The adjustment is, it's a 4-hour drive, and that's probably pushing it. It's probably more like 4:15, depending on weather. When you're driving in the bad weather, it can be longer. And so it's 8 hours round trip each week that you're in the car. And you're in session pretty much every week from January to June. And so you're gone a lot. You're in the car a lot. The nice thing for me in today's day and age with hands-free technologies, I can make phone calls in the car. I can listen to a podcast, or I can listen to an audiobook. So I can try to be as productive, and sometimes I'm more productive in the car than I am at the office, believe it or not, because I don't have as many interruptions or distractions. But it's just that much more time that you're not at home, that you're away from your family. When you're in Albany, I don't see my family obviously when I'm there. And so it's an adjustment on your home life, and you have to make that work. There's got to be a give and take. So when I come home, I try to spend as much time with my wife and my family as I can. And she's very supportive, which makes it a lot easier. But a lot of time on the thruway, and then even my district. I live in North Tonawanda, so when I go to Brockport, that's an hour and a 15-minute drive one way, and then you got to go back. So I do spend a lot of time in my car.
What has been your favorite moment while serving as state senator?
My favorite moment. Oof, that is a harder question to answer to pick one. And because I'm an elected official, I'll give you two. So one of my favorite moments was when I got the opportunity to attend the Army-Navy game back in 2016. That was a real bright spot for me. It was my first Army-Navy game in person. It was in Baltimore. They took some veteran state senators who had served, and they invited them down to the Army-Navy game. And we got to watch it in a box. Army won, which made me very happy. And so that was a big moment. And then I got another proud moment was when we were able to get an increase in funding and pay for direct support professionals who work with people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. And me and another legislator were recognized by the National ARC in San Diego. And so I got to go to San Diego to get this really cool award for something that was really, really needed and really, really good. So those are probably my two proudest moments.
Every year, Army and Navy play a big football game in December.
They
Do you root for Army or Navy?
Well, listen, I root hard for Army. In fact, as I said, I went to the Army-Navy game. I saw their first victory in 15 years. They broke a long losing streak. And since then, I actually do an event here in Western New York every year where we invite veterans at no charge to come and watch the Army-Navy football game and root for whoever they like. So they don't have to root for Army. They can root for whoever they want to. The great thing about that game, and I think this is true for anyone that watches it, is really the winner is the United States of America, because you're watching two great schools with really smart young men who ultimately are going to go serve us on a far more important field than the football field, and that could be the field of battle or just protecting our country. And so, it's fun to root for Army. I'm sure the Navy folks root for Navy. I don't know who the Air Force roots for, but it's a great game. It's a great tradition. But like I said, I think it's one of those games when even when it's over, there's really no hard feelings. You just feel very lucky that we have young men and young women who go to those schools who want to come out and serve our country. And of course, West Point is in New York. I'm just saying, West Point, where the Army football team practices, they are in New York. Of course, Navy is in Annapolis, Maryland, which is a different state that I don't represent. So between myself being an Army veteran and a New York State Senator, I got to root for West Point and the Army. And I'll say, go Army, beat Navy.
Thank you, Senator Witt, for stopping by.
Mr. Andrews, I really appreciate being on your show. I'd love to have me back whenever you can.
That will conclude this edition of the Anchor News. This is your news anchorman, Teddy Andrews.